Hello YouTube. So in this video I put together an e-bike buyer's guide, and I hope it helps you if you're thinking about converting, building, or buying an e-bike. Alright, let's get into this. Okay, before we get started, I just want to touch on pricing, because pricing in the e-bike market is all over the place and it could be confusing. I mean, you can have a bike that has little or no features, no suspension, and actually be more expensive than a fully loaded bike. Or you can have two bikes that look pretty much the same. Maybe one's got a different name on the frame and that bike's half the price. But I don't recommend you just go out there and buy the least expensive e-bike you can find, because a lot of times there's reasons why that bike's priced like that. And sometimes corners are cut, and a lot of times corners are cut in areas that you can't see, such as inside the battery. The battery is one of the more expensive components on the bike, and if you're at a low quality battery, low quality cells, I mean, it's going to hurt performance and it could be downright dangerous. That's why if you can spend a little bit more money to go to a reputable dealer or a reputable manufacturer, I feel it's definitely worth it in the long run. Now, there's other reasons why you might pay more for a bike. You might be the type of person that doesn't want to work on the bike. You don't want to do any maintenance. You just want to ride it and then bring it in and let them deal with it. And you might pay more because there's a dealer network. There's a dealer in your town that you can bring it to. Or you might pay more because, you know, you want product liability. If something goes wrong with the bike, you want some recourse to go back to the manufacturer or dealer. And then another reason might just be the cool factor. You just like the bike, you gotta have it, and you're just gonna pay more for it. But those are just some of the things to consider when you're out there shopping. Okay, in this first section, I'm going to go over DIY because that's where I started, and I think that's where a lot of us start. You know, we look at our existing bicycle and just say, I'm going to convert that into an e-bike, and you absolutely can. There's plenty of kits available. Most of them are complete with the motor, the controller, the battery, the throttle, pretty much everything you need to complete the project. Now, it's an easy install for the most part. You're just going to bolt in the motor. Usually the battery will bolt to the bottle holder mount. Now, the controller might be a bit of a challenge as far as mounting it. I've seen it placed in a bag and strapped to the frame, and I've also seen some boxes that will bolt to the other bottle holder mount. You could do it that way. I think that's a little bit cleaner. Now, there's different kits available. There's hub motors and there's mid drives. Now, I was going to go with a mid drive for my mountain bike, but then I just thought maybe I don't want to put that much power through the bike's stock drivetrain, and that's when I looked into hub motors, thinking that was simple. It doesn't use the bike's drivetrain at all. Now, at the end of the day, I decided I want to keep my mountain bike just the way it is. I use it for exercise. I just didn't want the temptation of, you know, being tired at the end of that run and grabbing that throttle. And that leads us into the next section in DIY, and that's going to be a complete build. Basically, you're going to buy a frame and all the parts to go with it and then assemble the bike. Now, there's a wide variety of frames available. You can do moped style frames, you can do folding bike frames and enduro bike frames, and I have some videos about assembling an enduro e-bike, also about enduro e-bike frames and build costs, and I'll put links to those videos in the description in case you're interested. Okay, moving over to complete bikes and starting out with the commuter type of bike. Now, these bikes look the most like regular bicycles. In fact, I bet a lot of people, they don't even realize they are electric. Their geometry makes them comfortable to pedal. They're not very heavy. They weigh in at about 60 pounds. Their range about 20 to 30 miles. Speed about 28 miles an hour. They have pedal assistance. Most of them have throttles. Now, these bikes are reasonably priced as well. These are great bikes just for general transportation, recreation, whatever you want to do with them, except for maybe go off-road due to the type of tires they have and the fact that they don't have suspension. If you wanted to use the bike kind of in a dual purpose kind of situation like that, I would probably go to the fat tire version of this bike. And those fat tires, they do allow for a little bit of suspension action over rough surfaces and definitely going to give you a lot more traction off-road. Okay, I want to touch base on EMTBs. These are electric mountain bikes, and you'll see these bikes around. They've got a large down tube which contains the battery, and then another large area where your bottom bracket would normally be, and that's going to be the mid-drive motor, which has its own bottom bracket. Now, these bikes, they're not really designed for transportation. They're more designed for hardcore off-road. They don't have throttles. They're pedal assistance only, and I guess that guarantees you're going to get your workout in. But that motor's designed to help them climb, and then the rest of the bike, the geometry, the suspension, the tires, everything's about handling. And some of these bikes, the components and the materials they use, the workmanship, they're just works of art to me. Now that does have a downside. It could send the price north of $10,000 in some cases. Okay, let's look at moped style e-bikes. This is probably going to be your most popular category. It includes brands like Super 73, Ariel Rider, Lectric, Radpower, and the list goes on. They have all different types of styles. You got step over, step through, you got folding. They generally have 20-inch by 4 fat tires on them, which makes them versatile for off-road and on-road. Some of them have suspension. The ones that don't, you can kind of use those fat tires to absorb some of the bumps. They're fairly light. The seat heights are low. They're very easy to operate, easy to get on and off. They have a comfortable riding position, except they're not very comfortable to pedal. But they do have throttles. Now they have decent range, decent speed, and their pricing, they're reasonably priced for the most part. They go up to around $4,000. This is the kind of e-bike I could see putting on the back of an RV and taking it to a campground because it's versatile for most terrains and most situations. Okay, looking at the motorcycle style e-bikes, now this will include bikes like the Onyx RCR, the Suron, the Segway, and this Enduro bomber style bike that I'm riding here. Now these bikes are generally going to have larger motors, more powerful batteries and controllers, and that's going to give you a higher top speed. For example, this bike I'm riding here is capable of exceeding 60 miles an hour, and if you opt for the larger battery, you will get some decent range out of them. I get about 42 miles out of this bike riding it normally. Now there are a few downsides. One I'll call e-bike ability. Basically, these bikes, they don't pedal very fast. A lot of them don't have pedal assistance at all. And some of them you're kind of in an uncomfortable riding position for pedaling. So if you're looking for a bike where you want to ride for exercise and that type of thing, you may want to look elsewhere or be prepared to make some modifications. Now there are a few other downsides, and some of them are very heavy, which limits portability in a sense. And also you will get that unwanted attention on the bike path because of the way that they look. Now pricing, I'm going to say is mid to high range on these. Now I will say all in all, this is my favorite category just due to the power and speed that you get. It makes these bikes so much fun to ride. Okay, and then I just want to touch base on specialty type e-bikes. Now these are e-bikes you can use in various types of roles, such as hauling cargo like camping gear or packages and groceries from the store. You can use them for delivery. I've even seen an e-bike with a sidecar on it. So if you have a need and you look hard enough, I'm sure you can find one that would work for you. All right guys, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments and I'll see what I can do. And thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next video.